Hey, just a quick question. Do you know how much importance to the plot Hunter has represented since he was introduced?
None whatsoever.
Lily, you can't count down the best and worst Owl House episodes. The show isn't over. Well, watch to the end and you'll know why I'm doing it now. The Owl House is set to end in a few months, with Watching and Dreaming releasing in the spring. At time of writing, For the Future hasn't aired yet, but who are we fucking kidding? You've seen it. Even if you claim to be waiting for the official release, you've seen it. Anyway, today we're counting down the top 5 best, worst, and blandest episodes of The Owl House. Enjoy, and then bitch at me in the comments. I promise I will definitely read all of them.
Oh, you guys talking about bad girls?
In Season 1 and Season 2A, The Owl House had some of the best pacing of any show, but if you'd told me that they would have managed to neatly tie up 2 lingering plot threads, plus fuck around with the King subplot, in a single episode about Hootie, and it would be genuinely one of the sweetest, most heartfelt stories any animated show ever told, I wouldn't have believed you at first. It's the kind of meaty and detailed storytelling that really set The Owl House apart from its peers, or even itself later on down the line. Sadly, this would eventually be one of the last episodes written like this, as this was 2 episodes before Season 2B, where the story would grind to a halt and become just another adventure fantasy show right before the end. Still, I wouldn't call a figure skater bad just because she face-planted on the last jump and knocked out half her teeth.
Wow, a surprisingly peaceful domestic moment. When will it be ruined?
King gets jealous of Luce's friendship with Willow and Gus and decides to remedy that by shrinking Willow and Gus down to microscopic size so that he can have Luce all to himself. If only someone had told King that if he just gritted his teeth for half a season, Willow and Gus would have been completely and utterly sidelined. Although sidelined in favor of Luce's girlfriend, so perhaps this isn't an improvement for him.
Me too.
No king hug? What is this? You are a swindler and a thief!
Ow! Oh, I hate it when that happens.
A common problem in Season 2B and Season 3 is where Luce has some kind of angst or anxiety, and unlike previous episodes where that spurs her to be proactive, she instead shuts down and either tries to distract herself or mopes in the corner while the episode runtime fizzles out, and reaching out was the former. In the interest of saving Luce's character work for the very end, because by this point Dana was absolutely committed to not giving it a rest with that shit, Luce hides the anxiety over the anniversary of her father's death by throwing herself entirely at Amity's issues with her own father, making this an Amity episode. This would be the second episode dedicated entirely to Amity after Eclipse Lake, but I maintain that Amity, being a supporting character, never needed her own dedicated episode. She mostly either shared the spotlight with Luce or got relegated to the B-plot, but this time around she gets center stage. And I wouldn't be bothered about that if it weren't for the fact that the episode is constantly teasing the more interesting idea with the more interesting character. This was something Dana kept doing, and I really wish she'd stopped. She's now sidelining Luce in her own show. Bad form.
It sparkles and shimmers, it shines and delights. I must have it for my nest.
The phrase empty nest syndrome really feels a little too on the nose with Ida, but the episode is about Ida's empty nest syndrome. As Luce continues looking for a way home and King is trying to connect with his father, Ida is growing concerned with the idea that soon her house will be empty of kids who she's grown very attached to. In the interest of avoiding confronting those feelings, she joins the Bards against the throne and reunites with her old ex. The entire episode is yet another banger for Ida, whose emotional complexity continues to come out in full force as she eventually breaks down into literal suicidal despair over losing her children, only to find out later that King at least was never planning on leaving. It's a very soft, lovely episode, especially when everyone cries at the end.
I love a good body swap. It's like demonic possession with the ones you love.
Body swap episode. How many of those have you seen growing up? Great! Moving along.
Come on, kid. Time to prepare for bloodshed.
Oh boy, everyone! It's another episode about Luce avoiding her issues by distracting herself with someone else's problems! I'm starting to think at some point in Season 2B they hired some old Steven Universe writers, because at least 60 episodes of that show were about Steven doing this exact same thing. In the interest of avoiding accepting the fact that she accidentally helped Belos plot genocide, Luce decides to take King to the literal edge of the world to meet his family, only to find that they're actually Titan hunters in service of the Collectors. When they discover he is a Titan, they try to murder him, and then they escape, and now we know that King is a Titan. So what kind of effect does this have on the story?
None whatsoever.
Good job, Dana, really making the most out of that limited time.
I know I should be repulsed, but that look is fierce.
I said a moment ago that Luce used to have a proactive trauma response, and frankly, the comparison between Luce fucking up in Season 1 and Luce fucking up in Season 3 is like night and day.
Where's Ida?
I just want to talk.
Talk to the glyph, bitch!
This child is out for blood and rescue. Luce is perfectly on point. She may have gotten Ida captured, but she is going to fix it at flame point if she has to.
What is happening? Free them now!
This is the best kind of Luce, the kind that will fight the Emperor and smash his stupid fucking mask, especially when she fucking Sylvanuses him out of nowhere at the end.
You've won nothing.
Luce reacting to trauma by fucking someone up made her such an enjoyable character, and it really showed her growth. That she regressed by season 3 is a fucking tragedy.
Well, go on. Eat the snow.
I previously said that one positive about the Owl House in terms of how it writes romance is that the romance between Luce and Amity is constantly taking a step forward between Lost in Language and Eclipse Lake. Well, that was a lie, because Wing It Like Witches is your typical pining episode. I guess there had to be one, but it also has the added downside of starting with a Willow plot before devolving into a Lumity plot, which mercifully the show would only do another 7 times.
No! Why? School!
It was a toss-up between this or Understanding Willow, and while both episodes feature the problem of a really good character being sidelined in favor of the fandom's white faves, at the very least Amity had an actual character going for her that was interesting to watch. Hunter, on the other hand, has 1/3 of Amity's backstory stapled onto him, and the rest of his personality is filled with angst. This time around, Willow starts a flyer derby team to have something in common with her fathers, but the story immediately veers away from that and into Hunter trying to be as good as the other Golden Guards by abducting some teenagers, but in the process gets fucking bodied by Willow and ends up stuck on the flyer derby team. Then the entire episode is about him moping about doing the right thing. Even Willow's tearful confession of wanting to live up to her fathers is used not for Willow's development, but so Hunter will do the right thing. This is the 3rd episode of this plot. The worst part is that the flyer derby team features characters who would have been much more enjoyable to see as the frontrunners of the episode. But this one character from early development Dana just can't let go of has to hog the spotlight. Hey, just a quick question. Do you know how much importance to the plot Hunter has represented since he was introduced?
None whatsoever.
You could cut him out of almost every episode he's in and lose very little.
Dang, I look great.
A much-needed episode about someone else. Through the Looking Glass Ruins unpacks Gus's anxiety about illusions supposedly being party tricks and not real magic, and it does this by having Gus be a fucking prodigy at illusions. In the 3rd act, he learns about a secret order of illusionists protecting the Galderstones, and it turns out he's really fucking powerful. Look at this boy! He's like a tiny battery of nightmares and rage. This is an excellent episode that really goes into Gus's character and all of his fears and anxieties before establishing him as an extremely powerful witch in his own right. This is the kind of episode a lot of characters could really use, and it does it so well and so succinctly that there's even time for a less important B-plot about Luce discovering the diary of Philip Whittabane. Finished a really good story and still had some time left over. Where did this Dana go in season 3? Oh wait, no, it was probably Molly, wasn't it?
Just when I thought I couldn't respect the law any less, it surprises me.
In his first outing, the Golden Guard was an absolutely amazing character. He reminded me of Vanitas, just a little shit who kinda sucked, but also kinda didn't, and just sassed everyone, and we couldn't wait to watch him get his stupid mask cracked open. Unfortunately, that episode was written by Zach Marcus, and Hunting Palazon is written by Dana. I'm noticing a theme here, and I don't like it. This time, while we get some hijinks where Luce beats up a Hitler Youth member, once his mask comes off, he's just broody emo white guy number 2456, and now we just have to watch him get set up for another redemption arc. You know, Owl House, we could have had a really fun trash boy, but instead you chose to be shit.
Your life is pretty terrible. But hey, it'll probably be over soon.
So we have another episode about Gus and his anxieties, but this time, instead of being a story where Gus overcomes them and learns about his potential, he is instead told to overcome them by Hunter. Just like any sport in a storm, Gus's anxieties are used primarily as a vector for the actual protagonist, Hunter, and the episode comes with a B-plot where Amity babies Willow that ends up not being resolved. It almost feels like spite at this point. Like, Dana has to know that people want Willow and Gus episodes that are good, and twice now she's honey-dicked the audience with the promise of an episode about them, only to shove her broody self-ship into our faces. I often said a problem with Hunter is that instead of giving him likable character traits or interesting things to do, the writers just staple him onto characters in the hopes that their presence will make him better by default. And they don't. Like, I don't know anybody who likes Hunter except for people who only like angsty white characters. And he's the only one the show's got.
Oh, you're a thorn in my side. But you always dig your way into my heart.
Witches Before Wizards is unfairly maligned as filler by the fandom, but then again, the fandom thinks Hollow Mind is the best episode of the show, so clearly the fandom's been drinking lead paint for the last few years. Witches Before Wizards is the start of a running character arc for Luce that would continue all the way until Season 2B, where she learns that she can't keep retreating into her fantasy world every time reality fails to meet her expectations. A lesson that is bludgeoned into her head rather emphatically by a predatory demon who is going to eat her and Ida if she doesn't snap out of it. It starts Luce's arc about growing up and approaching the world like an adult before Season 3, where she regressed into a different kind of insufferable teenager. And for the most part, she did learn that lesson. Throughout the show, she becomes a lot wiser and a lot more mature and takes her head out of the clouds, learning that accepting reality doesn't mean having to throw away her Azura books. It's an episode about learning to accept that you're not the main character of your own real-life anime and that specialness is not going to drop into your lap. And honestly, fuck every single person who derided this as filler. This is the overarching theme of the show. I will squeeze the jelly from your eyes.
Wah! Even a free
junk is junk.
In contrast to all the good episodes where a lot happens in 10 minutes, For the Future spends its first 30 minutes completely waffling around while all the main characters refuse to talk about their feelings because some edict from on high said nothing is allowed to happen until the third act, where we still find excuses to drag this shit out. Luce's talisman actually hatches in this episode, but they obscure it with a ball of dark magic until after the fight scene so that they can have a properly dramatic reveal of the damn thing, complete with further teasing. You've built suspense, Dana. You can stop building it now. No, I don't think it would look better with a greenhouse. Put that trowel down before I smack you with it.
I am your mother. You will obey me and die.
In case you haven't noticed, the worst and blandest list largely consists of episodes that waste your and the staff's limited time. For the Future was a problem because it wasted 30 minutes doing absolutely nothing, holding the audience in absolute giggling contempt until the final act. Well, Hollow Mind does the same thing. It wastes the audience's time on more vague hints before the last 5 minutes where they tell you something you already figured out several episodes ago. Around the time Dana decided she wanted the show to be Amphibia, there arose a conundrum in that, unlike Amphibia, the Owl House was actually written very well, and so there wasn't a whole lot to reveal that the audience couldn't already infer on their own. And the solution to this was to just act like that never happened. This was doubly the case with Luce's talisman. They put the palistrom wood away until Luce was ready, and then when she finally carved it, we still didn't get to see what it was for no fucking reason. Hollow Mind ends with the confirmation that Belos is a tyrant, the Day of Unity is nothing good, and that he was Philip Whittabane. So I hope you didn't watch Ida's Requiem, Follies at the Coven Day Parade, or Elsewhere and Elsewhen, because Hollow Mind confirms things that were already confirmed in those episodes. The episode jerks you around before giving you a big reveal, only to be told, we already knew that, and then it has nothing new. Damn it, Season 2B, your attempts to be a 2000s anime are foiled by your good writing decisions from months ago. I don't know exactly what happened to cause such a massive tonal shift in this show just before the end, but it's damn sad that they decided to become another teasy adventure fantasy show playing just the tip with the audience. What about Watching and Dreaming, Lily? It's not out, and recently I've taken a policy of not including season finales anyway. It's already gonna get tongue bats from the fanbase just for its existence, just like Sozin's Comet, and I don't feel the need to join in because I know where the fandom's tongues have been. They've been inside Pinocchio's asshole.